Hey guys, we're talking Kansas for the Cup Series race. Now this will probably be a longer video just because I like going over this type of stuff. By kind of reviewing Dover, a lot of this is going to be at least you should know who we're looking towards for Kansas this weekend. It's going to be the same guys, but as we go through and truly review Dover, and this is going to be more so me reviewing my own stuff, or not even reviewing my own stuff because I've already done that, but walking through my thought process entering this Kansas race because there's quite a lot of things going out there. One, because I got a lot of things in my mind. One, this is a very interesting shirt. Like I would implore you guys to like check out the clearance section on Fanatics.com. Like this is a wild ass shirt. Like you can't see it, but it has like Las Vegas Raiders like embroidered in black. Like it doesn't even show up even in person. I have like a Stolen Valor like Raider patch on the side. This is a wild shirt. Um, Two, when we look at Dover, and let's go ahead and bring this stuff up on the screen, especially as we talk about the first half of the video or the live show we did on Sunday. In regards to a lot of the feedback, very polarizing, which all sim talk is, and typically it'll always be that way. But very, very loudly on both sides of the aisle. Now, for me, where I stand, especially in weekends like that, to where I'm entering like 1,500 of my own money through my lineups, like that is something I'm considering. Like you'd be an idiot to not analyze stuff from that point of view. And the reason we're gonna get into that, and then how ownership broke down, and then everything. But like the conversation with Sheets that I had, I love like that aspect of DFS, and a lot of the people that I know who are playing either high volume or just love diving into things, they love that stuff as well. Even if they are a brain player more so than like a Sims guy, like they love that type of analytical outlook and stuff. Whereas like it seems to me, not even in like a bad way or like a derogatory way or like in an insulting way, but it seems like the louder the this stuff doesn't matter or like this type of topic is boring and stuff comes from a lot of the lower volume players, which yet again is so interesting because I feel like they're the ones who can benefit the most, specifically in their contests from like analyzing discussions like that. Like I feel like if you're in that realm, you would want to listen to that type of stuff more because that's what more of the like high volume players are doing. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at there. And it's very ironic that the slate that we talk about that the most was a slate that had ownership spread out. Because truly, like for the past like true month before that, you had a very centralized ownership on people, and then in this race, we ended up having ownership. I don't think you can really see that, but you ended up having ownership pretty spread out between a lot of the lap leaders. And I'll tell you right now, as soon as we pulled the ownership from the CSV and Knobs, pretty sure it was, yeah. As soon as he uploaded it, I was like, oh man, I would have played 60% Larson just knowing this because I thought he was going to come in like 40, 45. I thought Larson would be the highest owned guy on the slate. That was crazy. I don't. This is even wicked. I don't know. If, like just speaking out loud, I don't even know if this is due to the fact that things are flip flopping so much. Of like, oh, Larson's gonna be chalk. Let's get off of him, and then like nobody ended up playing Larson. Very very interesting slate when you look at it like of how ownership broke down because like Larson should like never be like the fifth or sixth highest owned guy, especially like he should always be at like 40% ownership that or like 30% ownership. That was nuts. And so like I honest to God, before the race even started, I saw this and I was like, I've already lost. I played this slate so horrible, so bad, just right off the bat there. I do want to bring up. So clearly, this is how we're looking at the Dover race and how everybody ended up forming out. And for me, when I'm wanting to build, before we get or like by the end of the race, what I'm going to do is hopefully end up being on like the highest owned or the most productive guys, the guys who are getting a lot of laps, the guys who ran up front and stuff like this. And yet again, kind of analyzing my own stuff. Yet again, we're not looking at Texas just because that's its own thing. I'm not even including that in this stuff. But yet again, we've removed the old Dover race. Now we can start filling in, more of this year and stuff. And when I look back at how everything went last week, and from a personal note, like my shit was dead on like lap 12. Like when, because I was very high on Gillen. Um, I used him as like the baseline, as like the building block on nearly all my lineups, and so like right off the bat, I already knew like there was no chance I was gonna have the optimal lineup. And then my other guy who was basically not in any of the fucking Gillen lines was Priest. And so that killed another portion of the lines. And so right off the bat, like I knew I would not have a chance to take down anything entering the day. So it was very easy for me to go ahead and just look at how things would end up going on and how they scored and everything. And you could tell that I was, or you can see that I was very much high on the place differential not coming through, which yet again, speaking out loud and going over everything that we've seen here, if I'm kind of bouncing around, I apologize, but I want to get a lot of things out. Like when you look at the place differential that came through, Larson specifically, like that's very impressive. It might be like, well, duh, it's Kyle Larson. But I mean, like, very impressive in a sense of moving forward this year, because Dover is very much a pivot standpoint. When we're looking at, I mean, I took Dover off of here, but when you look at Dover, that is not even very difficult track. That is a very technical track in terms of what the car can do setup-wise, especially, going through the field, handling in the draft. I mean, Larson couldn't pass Hamlin at the end of the race, but I mean, like, Larson was able to get through traffic. Truex was able to be very quick, despite the fact that he had a splitter separating from the car. Like, that's usually a huge downswing in terms of car performance, but the fact that, like, Truex was able to wrap the bottom so well, like, those are the aspects that, at least for me personally, I look at of, like, okay, true things to note, like, Larson's for real, Hamlin's for real, Truex is for real. Like, those are your three favorite guys entering the month of Kansas, and it's all based off of where we're coming off of Dover, because it's such a pivotal point in the schedule, and it shows where you are at. You're not going to make drastic, huge changes between Dover, Kansas, Darlington, Charlotte, because this is over a 3-week period. Like, we're pretty much where we're at. The main changes or main adjustments, especially if you're not at the top here, you're making wild, or you're trying to try new things to get ready for the playoffs and stuff. And so typically you have Vegas, Dover, Kansas, Darlington, Charlotte, and even Nashville very much correlated between, like, the guys who are running up there or running up top. And so when we look at Dover, actually going back really fast. And so when I'm just when I'm looking at my own stuff, and I look at how I played Las Vegas, which yet again at this point, like, for me, and it's so funny because a lot of people are like, you're a Byron fan. Like, I don't give a shit about Byron. I'm just saying he's been underowned. And the fact that Byron had a terrible day at Las Vegas and I still made money was pretty phenomenal. The fact that he started fourth and just had issues. And even with Dover, this was a winning day until, Byron got involved in the wreck, despite the fact I had basically my entire bottom part of the lineups end up having like 0 to 4 points. So, like, that's also very, very interesting. I got to at least, yet again, pre-Bell, Bubba, Byron crash, because as you can see, I use Bubba as, like, the center point of the 7K range to fill out lineups and stuff. And so pre-that, still a winning day, despite the fact I was very much wrong with Larson, very much wrong with trying to separate the lap leaders and stuff, and having no Martin Truex Jr. either, which I didn't do at Las Vegas as well. So I've been incredibly lucky in that regard. And so speaking out loud and seeing what I need to do specifically, it's very much Larson, Hamlin, Truex, fucking regardless of where they start. Larson has shown that he has the best car in traffic. Like, he can get through the field no matter what he is. If he's up front, he's going to be getting fast laps led. We see that Truex has basically been the third best car consistently out of Las Vegas and Dover, scraping off both fast laps and laps led. Maybe not laps led in Las Vegas. Let me do a little checkarooski, because I do not remember if he led laps, and we do not have salaries on DraftKings, so I cannot click through that and just see it very quickly. But anyway, the reason I'm bringing that stuff up is when I look at the two, like, this is a drastically different build, and I understand that we have, yet again, I'm just speaking out loud here for my own stuff. Dover was, as I said, since it's such a tipping point for the season, that was a situation where I'm going to lean into one of two things. One, it's very much place differential able to come through. And the reason I didn't do that is, when we looked at the PD that came through the last 2 weeks, the last two intermediates, when we look specifically at Texas and Dover, Larson and Kyle Busch have both come through on those individual races in two separate outcomes or two separate individual, not even results, but getting there through two different ways. Larson, because he was just, speed racer, and Kyle Busch by staying out long, yellows, despite the fact he went a lap down and stuff like that, and that the Dover race more so justifies the speed in the car versus the actual starting position of who they are. Like if we have Hamlin, Larson, Truex, even somebody like Blaney starting in the back of the field, they very much have the speed to get up through the field. If it's anybody else, I'm certainly more and more hesitant on playing them, especially if they're expensive. Like Christopher Bell was just horrible. We didn't want to play Christopher Bell at all at Dover because he hadn't been showing that speed. He just wasn't able to get through the field and stuff like that. And ended up being like the 22nd true best car in Dover. Let's see racing reference. You're gonna load so I can just see if Truex led laps at Las Vegas, please. So Truex led 4. So, technically, these three cars, we'll talk Reddick in a moment, but Hamlin, Truex, Larson, Truex, those are your three best cars. That is who we're playing in the month of May. That is it. It's been very much reinforced through the Dover weekend. And so, like, for me, when I start seeing, truly at this point, and it's also, like, I forgot what they're called, like line graphs and stuff. But like when you're looking at like stock portfolios and stuff, which I'm not even trying to act like I know anything about that. I'm just saying, like, when we look at the tracking of where these guys are at, like when we look at like Hamlin, and that's why I like using this versus numbers, just because I can identify it way better. We're seeing that Hamlin was not only just consistent right off the bat, but he's still there. It's certainly there with Larson as well. And we're seeing him move farther up, as dumb as that sounds or might look. When we have Truex, just a horrific, playoff brigade or run last year, but it's been consistently these three guys here. Whereas, like, you look at Byron, for example, and you see that, he's fallen off. Not truly like this much. Like Las Vegas, based on speed, probably 6th best car. Dover, very much disappointment, and this is mainly due to the pit lane issue that he had. But Byron is very much, his ownership's going to be 14%. Yeah, it probably should be at this point. Like the Byron wave of playing him is here and gone, which is what you always need to be open to things changing and stuff like that. Like I was just on Byron because he won me a lot of money and he was underowned a lot. And it's not because like, he won me money, that equals me having to play him because I'm biased to him. No, it's just driver WB was underowned and was running well, and I chased that into this year, and it just hasn't performed. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to do that anymore specifically. He's still going to be underowned, but that's truly going to be like a hard, true cutoff. I think I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I ended up with 10 Byron lines this week. Probably truly going to get it down to like 6 or 7 or 5, just because that is probably the ownership at probably more so 5. 25% field's going to be probably like mid-teens, so that's probably right where I want to be moving forward and stuff. With William Byron, the Kyle Busch, very interesting. So like the reason why I was personally playing Kyle Busch was because of what he was showing at Texas. As I said, not able to get through the field, but running identical lap speeds to the guys up front during certain points that was in that race would show that, hey, he might be able to maintain a running position higher up at Dover or lead more laps and stuff like that. And so, yet again, that was just the decision that I went to for Dover. And so, speaking out loud, either what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong. Maybe this helps you, maybe it doesn't. Just some people like knowing where I'm necessarily going with. And what I'm personally doing is comparing the true builds that worked through Las Vegas and Dover. And, clearly you can see a drastically different array of those types of lineups and stuff. Once we get past Hamlin, Larson, Truex, the Reddick, Certainly interesting. Very much underperformance, or at least for me, did not do what I was expecting him to do. Did not kill, truly destroy lineups based on his pricing. Do we even have? Let me just make sure, because this is midday Wednesday. Let's just go ahead and see. Oh, we might actually do have salaries. I could have just been doing that. So Reddick is at 10.7, which is justified. That's what we're gonna expect. So Truex is 10.3. So Hamlin, Larson both 11K. Truex 10.3, $5,800 on average. All right, so that's very easy to do with Larson, Hamlin, Truex. Very unlikely that you don't need two of those three drivers and or all three, so that's perfectly fine. We can very easily do that. But like when you look at Reddick, and yes, he won Kansas and he ran well at the first Kansas race last year when I don't remember who won Kansas last year. The spring race last year, rather. So let's go ahead and just take a quick gander. And as I pull this up or pull it on the side, let me talk out loud about what I want in a driver at Kansas and why Dover is such a, in terms of this aspect to the setups, is such a good data point to use. So, we all know the air block. We all know the air blocking going on with this next gen car and what these cars or these drivers are doing to make it to where the car behind them cannot pass them. Like you can run somebody down, then once you get like 2/10 behind them, they can just air block you and you just can't do anything. Especially to the like first, second, third, fourth car, like when you're that fast and at the pinnacle of the speed, pinnacle of the pack, like that's where the discrepancy is. You don't have just the raw setup speed or the raw control to get through the field as you would if you're like, Larson, for example, coming up through the field last weekend at Dover. So when we look at Kansas and how this race specifically runs, the leaders are going to be running up top. That's just how it's going to be. That is the fast lane. That's where the car is going to be comfortable. That's where you're going to run. Okay. So the reason why that's important in terms of the mid-tier plays, or not even mid-tier plays, but like mid-pack or guys coming from the back, or just passing in general, when you're entering a top dominant track, and yet again, for those people who, you want to pull more data points, Kansas, you run top. Las Vegas, you run top. Darlington, you run top. Like, it's all correlated. Dover, one lane, practically running up against the wall. Like, you can't move up because you get in the rubber, or you get in the marbles and stuff. One lane. So, like, in order to pass people, in order to have, like, some sort of fucking speed, like, true speed, not like guys who, like, are set up on the bottom, because you're not just going to run the bottom the entire time. People will be moving up the track, and like top line is just where you want to be. In order to make the passes, because somebody's going to be air blocking you on the top lane, and you don't want to run right behind them because once you get in their wake, you just go in the wall and you're scraping the wall. So like you have to run below them, or you just you do the slide job to the bottom of the track and then come back up. Well, you need to actually have a car that can do that. Like, you can't just have your car be decent on the top and then like, oh, shucks, I got to pass a guy who's also on the top. And then you go to the bottom and you can't pass anybody because, like, your car just doesn't work down there. Like, you have to have, like, actual speed to be able to get through the field and actually pass people. And so the reason I'm bringing that up is, like, when we're looking at Tyler Reddick and stuff, yes, 2311 has been very consistent at this track, specifically in the spring. Well, no, if it was the spring last year, let me look. I totally forgot I was even looking up who won the spring race last year. We got Hamlin. So it was Hamlin. When you look at the aspects of a setup and of the team and of the drivers that you want to chase for potentially place differential or laps led in this race, it is very much people who have shown that they have just pure fast cars. As I said, Larson getting up through the field and doing what he did last week, very impressive. Hamlin, wildly consistent. Martin Truex Jr. still being fast with the damage that he had in the race at Dover, very, very impressive. Dover is very much a data point that I centralize around for the entire season, especially the month of May. I don't mean just repeat the same thing, but that's literally what I do. And so, like, it's these three guys who are clearly the best cars. I would be absolutely floored if these three individuals don't win 4 of the next 5 races, if not all 5 of them, in this month. These are the main contenders for that. So each week we want to play a lot of. That's also why, like, the ownership on Larson, I was like, I've already fucking lost, man. Already, right off the bat, the approach process, I thought he would be higher owned. He ended up not being. That was a huge, huge disappointment, and just it's something I'm completely angry about at Dover. Anyways, we get through the field. One thing that's like wildly impressive, wildly shocking. 2 things actually. One is Stenhouse. When you look at where Ricky had been, pretty, very, very, very impressive at Dover. Very, very impressive run at Dover. And yet again, I was, just reviewing stuff today. My stuff was saying a lot, and I mentioned this in the live show, like it was telling me Hocevar, it was wanting me to play a lot of Stenhouse, and I just overrode that manually. I was like, I'm not playing any fucking Stenhouse at all. And also, I mean, I explained this in the live show as well. The reason I had Byron so high is if it was showing me that I was able to leave, and yet again, I used Gillen as the main anchor point here, just on the raw speed. I mean, projected for 20, but based on just what we're getting from Front Row Motorsports with like an actual like tier 1 Ford team starting back there, pretty decent. And the laps he was running in the short time he was there was very much not a 32nd place car. It's very much going to be like a 24th, even 22nd type of day. Anyway, so clearly, like if you paid down, you were able to get up to it. Just my stuff I was running earlier did not show me that I would realistically be able to get up to the Larson. That's why I use such a high projection on William Byron, because if it's leaving salary on when I'm running my own stuff, then it's like, okay, I can get 2 trucks or I can get the Larson. I end up having a lot of stuff where it's like 100, 200, 0 salary left over. So I said, okay, that's not going to be a route that I'm going to follow today, regardless of what Byron does. I just wanted him to be kind of like a placeholder so I could see that. Anyway, so when I'm looking at Kansas this weekend, so like probably need to trust my own shit more on Stenhouse. Also with AJ, like that, actually outside of Stenhouse, I mean, Hemrick stayed out, got a phenomenal finish by just running long, which is just another tilting thing that we have truly somebody who didn't deserve. Did it like, what a god awful play, man. That is insane, coming through and getting such a good finish. A lot of value plays came through. Zane Smith came through. Rick Ware guys, Hemrick, that is wildly, like the bottom half of the salary, that many guys coming through at Dover is wildly impressive. But raw speed is AJ Allmendinger. That was absolutely shocked that he ran 10th, 11th, 12th, 14th, 13th all day. That is very, very respectful. And yet again, it's like when, even speaking of colleague in like the lower series, in the Xfinity series, and we see how bad or how poorly Josh Williams, Daniel Dye, I mean, those guys all worked, and I said I wanted to play them and stuff, but like it's like a chicken and the egg question. Okay, is colleague falling off a cliff, or is it because they have shitty drivers? Are they getting shitty drivers because they're falling off a cliff? Or are all the good drivers just leaving and they have bad drivers and stuff? It's very much a case like that in the lower series. Because, like, SVG is learning. He's got training wheels on. You got Williams and Dye, who were just, like, horrifically slow. Kraus jumping in the car. Like, we don't even know what... we like, it's wild. And so, like, when you see, like, AJ hop in the car at Dover for Xfinity and have real speed. Or, I mean, he runs full-time. But he's in that... He has, like, real speed. The AJ... run here is pretty impressive. And then when you look at that compared with, where he's been in these other races, like AJ is actually there. Like that's situations you can look at, especially coming off of the end of the last year at Homestead, which is a very difficult race, very, very high on tire wear. Like that correlation is pretty impressive for me to look at and just see. And so like, I'm pretty sure we're going to have, like, Derek Kraus, like, fucking 5,000 again. Daniel Hemrick at 55. Like, dude, It's wild. Like the colleague cars can have like real speed, and it can be just held down by the drivers. It is insane. Um, Absolutely insane here. So, anyways, we continue to go down. Like we've Larson, Hamlin, Truex. That's who we're playing. That's priority. Two out of those three guys in every line. That's literally the approach I'm taking. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Blaney, very much right where he is, and as we can kind of see how the graph is going up, we're slowly moving from like the 10th, 11th best car to very much a 6th, 7th best car. Even with like Logano, there's Logano. Who else? Like Logano, Bubba. Oh, Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs had another good run, which was impressive to see. Specifically, starting back at 19th, moving up, gaining those positions, and ended up scoring. Where are we at? It's like Gibbs he's 93. Man, that's a wild one, man. 45 point. What did I have him for Dover? I had him for 42 points, which is yet again a situation of where Gibbs 25. Where's Bubba ended up being? Bubba was like 17, 11. Yeah, like it's just took a lot of stances. Want to be very aggressive with Dover, not very result based on the contest is bad. Result based on process, not looking at results in contest. I'm disappointed as it didn't go the way I wanted it to, but I'm not. I don't feel like I completely missed a ton of things because, as I said, I was still going to cash for profit before the Byron crash, despite being very wrong about Truex, despite being very wrong about other people. So, like, even in that sense, like, I'm almost more tilted with how Dover planned out just based on just being aggressive and it not turning out for me. Anyway, just kind of speaking out loud. Anyways, we move on and look at the rest of kind of where everybody is entering this race. So I guess we can just kind of go down by looking at let's go ahead and open this up here. Let me just go ahead and put I hit pause. Didn't mean to pause. Hold on. Meant to do this because I have no idea what is going to pop up on the screen when I'm like, I'd like to import some recent downloads. In my luck, I'd have like my fucking W-2 or my 1099 on the fucking screen. All right, so let's go ahead and go here. Let's go ahead and look at where these fine fellas are at in terms of salary, and we can kind of preview it like that. All right, and I need the ID for fuck name. All right, move this out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a gander where we're building here. Where we at? All right. So let's go ahead and look at Hamlin. Top of the line, as I said, we're playing Hamlin. We're playing two, if not all three, of Hamlin, Larson, Truex. Truex is mispriced just based on that. And also, like, even based on I've been incredibly lucky that I've just not had any Truex this year at these 1.5s, and I have not been completely crucified for that because that has been a true miss on my point. But, like, Reddick, track history-wise, yet again, this is where, thinking of the Sims, thinking of where people are pulling data from. If they're pulling that data, then Reddick is going to be very popular. And also, another thing, like the AJ stuff is like wild. Yet again, why this data point, the practice laps, I mean, we had errors in this, but like the practice laps is like so interesting. Like that's why we don't ever want to overweight stuff. Like I did not weigh the practice laps at Dover at all in any form or fashion, but like AJ is a great example. Like it's insane how well AJ performed. That is like shockingly impressive for AJ. Just like, wow, I didn't expect that. Anyway, related to Reddick, if things are pulling from track form and shit like that, it's going to love Reddick. Him at 10-7 based on this type of stuff. I mean, great at Darlington, great at Kansas too last year. Second best car at Las Vegas. He should have performed better at Dover. Just straight up, he should have performed better if a lot of the stuff was lineup. Even Bubba to the same extent, like Bubba should have performed better at Dover last weekend. Um, very much just could have been happenstance of how it just ended up happening. But that is something to note. So entering this week, if we get realistic race conditions for the race, which they practice in Q on Saturday, so they should be very similar, then that'll be a good indicator of where Reddick and Bubba will be in this race. But like, man, even Bubba from 9.5, holy fuck, I don't know if I want to do that. Byron, yet again, as I've stated, just time of Byron's probably gone. Not gone, but like, I mean, he's going to continue. He's going to. Certainly, these are more the outliers because I mean, he wrecked out over, ran into damage at Las Vegas. Was most likely going to be the sixth best car or at Las Vegas, but very much went from, a top 4 contender, top 3 contender to now you're falling back to 6th, 7th. Who's taking over that space? Who's going in? Who's moving up and stuff like that. So we look at Trix, who I got nothing there or nothing negative to say there. Bell is very much unfucking playable. Based on his price, needs 50 points to just pay it off raw, without any, like, he would need to actually like run away with the lead and like kill the field and stuff. Even if he has place differential to offer, like very much just showing or very much falling off. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with Joe Gibbs and even the rest of the Hendrick gang. I mean, Elliott is certainly there. We'll get to him. Actually, we'll just look it up now. So like Elliott. It's just all over the goddamn place, man. 98. Probably going to be a situation very, very hard to play him if he starts up front because we just haven't seen that movement to get through the field. Hell, at Texas, had a mid-place car. Basically had a car like this, stayed out, got a yellow. That's how he got to the front. Like, those are situations that we need from Bell, from Elliott, and I typically don't like playing that way. And just playing raw guys based on speed. And so Elliott, so we see that Elliott doesn't have that true raw speed. Like, he's able to get through the field. But, like, when we compare it to, like, Larson, it's just Larson by himself from Hendrick. And then Bell's, or Byron and Elliott are there. And then, like, I don't know what Bowman is doing. And then we look at Joe Gibbs, it's just Hamlin and Truex killing the field. Bell's doing whatever he's doing, and Ty Gibbs is learning. And Ty Gibbs is like the 9th best card. So it's like not even like a team-based dynamic. We're at the point where it's just raw speed out of these guys. When we look at Wallace, when we look at Bubba, man, just gotta. Oh boy, man. Just got to see it. Got to see it from loading off the trailer and potential projected points here. Same thing with Gibbs when we look at Ross. Now we get to 91. Then what's that? Like 46, 47 points. Like, that's where we're at. Like, okay, man. So we'll see. Very much and very much we'll see here. Then we get to Chastain, and we're like, okay, his price tag, based on what he can do at Kansas, based on, potentially starting, in the teens or whatever, like that makes Ross Chastain appealing. When we look at Kyle Busch, very much same thing. We're very much concerned here with these outcomes, even at Kansas as well. Like, it's very much just highlighting early guys that look pretty interesting here. It'd probably be these fellas. Even not that, I don't really want green for that. We'll do the blue. Kyle Busch, probably not for me. Blaney at 886. Oh boy, very attractive. Very, very attractive. Looking like a really, really good play. Going back to Dover, I was very much wanting to see if that comes through on Blaney. Just because I got, and, did he lead? I think he did lead. But then he got passed and stuff. He led 47 laps. Like, that's really, really good to see, man. And you can argue that he lost it. He didn't maintain. He didn't run up there all day. I mean, let me change it. He didn't maintain the lead all day, but he was in third, fourth, fifth all day. That's why he was the fourth best car when it was said and done. He was the sixth best car at Las Vegas when it was all said and done. 8,600 for Ryan Blaney here. I mean that's looking very, very attractive. Like that is, as I go through and look at things, like Blaney is a guy that I'd want to be on, that I'd probably want to be regardless of what the field is going to do. Kind of that same mentality that I've had with Byron. Like I probably want to start playing a lot of Blaney here, especially if we keep having salary that is allowing us to get to him, because he's 86 this week. He's 96. I mean, he's been dropping like a sack of potatoes, my guys. Just the last couple races: 96, 11, 10, 2, 10, 5, 9, 5, 7, 5, 10, 5, 11, 2, 10, 2, 10, 2, 9, 8. This is the cheapest Blaney has been. Cheapest Blaney might be this year. This is a week to play Ryan Blaney, very much regardless of where he starts. If he starts up front, as he did at Dover, he has shown the ability to get that lead. Even if he starts second, like you can't just jump from 12th to get the lead. Unless you stay on a run long. But like, if you want to get the lead on pit lane, if you want to have an opportunity to be a lap leader, like you have to be in a position to take advantage of if somebody up front messes up or whatever. Like, Blaney's looking really, really good this weekend, man. We look at Logano. I just realized I got to make sure I'm recording so I can I would be so pissed if I just was talking to myself for fucking 20 minutes and I hadn't been recording. Logano and Blaney, kind of, very similar. Like, I'm more interested in Blaney. And I've been wanting to just play Logano based on the principle of I probably need to just get to Logano. But typically, the Penske guys, Cindric doesn't even count. Like, Cindric is so useless. But Logano and Blaney and Logano, very much like if I want interest in Blaney, I should probably do Logano because they're probably at this point going to be trying to get Logano up to where Blaney has been. Look at Bowman. Bowman having a car, being up there at Dover is impressive. Certainly, so far, the anomaly outside of what we've been doing here. Yet again, we want to use Dover as a pretty good anchor point for this month. And so, was this the anomaly, or are they making, strides and stuff? So with Bowman, that's like where I guess game theory and gambling is really going to come into play. Like, do you want to? I would probably lean to trusting Dover, but based on a lot of what the show and man, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on Bowman at the moment. Keselowski, RFK is very much fallen off. Very much fallen. Like, if you, yet again, include Texas in here, you pick and choose your points, but also did not have speed at Texas. Very much falling down. That's concerning. Same thing with Chris Buescher, especially if people want to be on these guys. That's probably one where I'm probably gonna get beat by the field if they start coming through, because I will probably not be having much interest in Chris Buescher and in Keselowski in these situations. Gregson moving up and which, bro, just speak it out loud really fast. How bad is those legacy cars, man? Those petty GMS cars, those legacy motorsport cars. It is insane how bad those cars are. People wanted Gregson's head last year. People wanted him out of the series. People were saying he didn't deserve it. He sucks. It is wild how bad those cars were. We are in the fourth look how well Gregson is running. Look how well these SHR cars are performing, in general, but Gregson specifically. If he was getting this out of that hunk of crap legacy car, that's insane, man. Eric Jones getting the win, although I think that was 2 years ago. That's insane. It is so crazy how bad those legacy cars are. And we entered this year, seeing that SHR would be the quote unquote shitter team at the bottom. They're the ones who are gonna, and it's just been legacy. It is wild how bad those cars are. That's insane. Suarez too. lot of struggles from Suarez. This is very much. I mean that Dover run's disappointing, but a lot of concern, lot of concern, a lot of things you don't want to see from Suarez. Oh man, a lot of like man, fuck, dude. I played much of him at Las Vegas at all. Oh, Suarez at Las Vegas. Yeah, I didn't play Suarez at Las Vegas. But I fell into it at Dover, thinking he'd move up. Very concerning with Suarez. Also, yet again, when I say this, because some people like I'm recording this to like help people out or let them see how I do things or help them out in some form or fashion. That is not a case of, oh man, Suarez has burned me. I've lost so much money on Suarez. I just can't be playing Suarez. I hate those discussions so much. I hate those opinions. And when people are like, this guy's on my dead to me list. This guy's dead to me. Rui Hachimura is on my dead to me list. This guy sucks. Like that. Like I hate those conversations so much, guys. Like it's that should never ever even cross your mind in DFS. Like you should never ever have biases. Whether somebody's won you a lot of money or lost you a lot of money, you have to have a short memory in that span, and you cannot have any biases towards anybody. I'm just speaking out loud that Suarez has been very much disappointing. We need to see drastic changes in this organization. You might be like, well, you just said you like Chastain. Due to mainly two reasons. One, Chastain has been showing consistently more speed, and two, the pricing. Suarez at 72, like that's a concern. You might not even get like your 35 or 36 points from him or whatever you need. Like that's where that is. Whereas like Briscoe, I mean, same thing. Middle tier is just interesting. Barry ran well here. Oh yeah, I totally forgot Stenhouse. What the hell is Stenhouse doing? He wrecked himself. He's just merging into traffic. Like he hits Barry. Like Stenhouse, you're an idiot. Like what the fuck is Stenhouse doing at Dover? That's insane. What an absolute baboon. Just merging into traffic off of 2, clipping Barry and breaking your own car. That's insane. Michael McDowell. It's so weird that they've been doing well, or they've had true decent speed at the short tracks, and we're seeing a drastic downturn in what McDowell has been doing here. 68, interesting. So a lot of these of like I don't have true opinions or stuff like that. It'll just come down to what I kind of project them to be at. That's also another thing of like why like these things here. I have value on this. This is also when I'm just building. I just want to see things based on where they're at in price, so I can see. I'm not usually concerned about where the actual projection is. I'm more so I just want to see how close to value some of these guys are at. So like McDowell. Even last week, that's 66. To move on to this week, 68. In a situation where he'll probably be similarly projected, how close to a 5x can we be, either up or down? Like that's very much dependent on where McDowell is, Cindric, Chastain, Austin Dillon, Hocevar. A lot of this stuff will depend on where we're at. Like fucking Jimmy Johnson, Jesus Christ, man. And it's also not even like Jimmy. Like these cars are terrible. Like, they are absolutely atrocious. So we can't even hate on Jimmy Johnson a lot. Like, Nemechek is, I think, very similar in skill level to Gregson. And when you compare Nemechek to Gregson, last year, 1-to-1, base practically identical. That is a car concern with these cars here. Corey Heim, very, very impressive. I mean, he ends up finishing, let's see, finishes 25th. Like that's wildly impressive for Corey Heim. Very, very impressive. Wish I would have. Where was I at personally on here? Probably wish I would have been more. What builds are these on? Kyle Busch. Unfortunate builds. That Corey Heim is very impressive. So just a 1-to-1 with Nemechek. No reason to move on past there. We're on an Austin Hill car this week. Let me just make sure. go ahead and check. Give me a moment. Sorry. Just want to check the entry list for this. Oh my god. Yeah, we got Hill in the. We got Austin Hill in the 33, so pretty much right where Dillon has been at. But 58 for Austin Dillon, I'm okay with that. We get to Hemrick, we get to Burton, we get to Riley. Is he in the 51? Who the fuck is Riley racing with? Yeah, he's in the 15 for Rick Ware, which isn't drastically bad. Like, and so like when we get to here with even we'll just include everything from 6K down. And I know my face is kind of blocking these guys. So like these individuals here, I think that'll be probably the most difficult aspect of the entire weekend for me for not under projecting them and for not over projecting them, because any of these guys down here, I'm gonna probably I feel I'm at risk of over projecting if they start in the back of the field, and under projecting if they start in the 20s or higher up. I'm perfectly fine with anybody down here, and whoever I end up on, I'm not gonna be mad at, or I'm not going to be upset about, or whatever. Very similar to last week. I'll probably spread out more just my own, not necessarily reaction to having so much going last week at Dover, but I probably do need to do a better job at not just being blind to the potential upside of one individual driver. I think even last weekend I had Zane. I probably needed more Zane, but like Nemechek, I even had Haley. But I very much need to be more open-minded with these guys down here. Anyway, so as that's my preview for Kansas. Removed from the fact of looking through pit data, looking through lap data and stuff like that. This is